Can you hear me now? I feel like that old AT&T commercial. Can you hear me now? Oh, yes? Oh, good, good, good. Ah, there's a crow. Thank you guys. Yeah, there is no background sound for now cuz I don't really have any copyright free like background sound to play on hand at least. That scared me so bad I dropped my spoon. Oh no! You have the purple badge now. Shadow. But I was saying thank you guys so much for the resubs. That was so nice of you guys. Also, I cannot believe people are hitting 6 months still. I know Loafs is not the first to hit 6 months, but that is still wild to me that that's even possible. But yeah, today we are going to be having an author interview. Uh, this is the sort of monthly author interview series, Talk Story to Me, and today we are going to have author and anthology editor Prerna Pickett on. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And I remembered to add the information commands in the stream title this time. So if you would like to know more about the author, the anthology that we'll be talking about today, or if you want to know where to buy her book, or if you want to know more about the Talk Story to Me segment, you can use any of the commands in the title. I think they're exclamation mark author, exclamation mark book, exclamation mark buy book, and exclamation mark talk story to me. Oh, Shadow, you've always been special. But yeah, I'm so excited. This is gonna be so fun. All right. Uh, debating whether or not to give it a few more minutes for people to like pop on in, or if I should just go ahead and get started. But happy Friday, y'all. I hope it's been a good Friday. Good start to the weekend for everyone. I love this background. Me too. A certain special someone made it for me. uh, if you, if you guys remember Shadow's roommate, Marley, she is also an artist. So I commissioned Marley for this background. And I replaced all of the text in it. So we have, I think the only like Japanese text you guys can like actually see right now is right next to the Google Meets box where it says Gomi Bikingu, which is basically trash buffet. Someday I'll have to go through all the other texts because I had a good fun time with all of them because I was like, this is just for me. But I think we'll go ahead and get started. I will go ahead and tell Prerna that we're ready for her. Okay. Trash buffet sounds like it belongs in Raccoon City. It's just because I consume so much trash. You know how it is. She did request to be off camera. Uh, so yeah. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone. Say hello to our guest author today, Prerna Pickett, and also the editor of the young adult romance anthology called My Big Fat Desi Wedding. Do you want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Prerna. I am a South Asian author. My first published novel, If You Only Knew, debuted in 2020 with Swing Reads, and My Big Fat Desi Wedding, which I had the honor of editing, released this past January. I write young adult and adult contemporary romance as well as other genres because I can't just stick to one. um, and I'm represented by Mesco Chambers Black with Andrea Brown Literary Agency, and I am a mother of five as well.
Oh,
And yeah, I think that's it.
I didn't know you were a mother of five. How do you have time for all of that?
Well, my oldest just graduated high school in June,
Oh,
which was, very emotional. So they're all older. My youngest is 8, almost 9. So it's not nearly as stressful as it used to be because they're, very self-sufficient. So yeah.
well, that's good. Also, I'm so sorry. Did I mispronounce the title? Is it Daisy?
Yeah, they see
Oh,
wedding, like they see. Yeah,
oh,
the
okay.
D's and B in South Asian are like pronounced with a TH.
I feel like I've only ever seen it, the word written. I've never actually heard it pronounced before, so I've just never. Oh, I should have thought to look that up. I'm so sorry.
It's so common. No, you're good.
um, but yeah, I guess. So the thing that I'm most curious about, and it feels like a good place to start, is I have no idea how anthologies are made. Like, what was kind of the process for this? Like, from conception steps to like getting authors, like theming. How did kind of all of that work?
Yeah, so I had the idea, I think it was like back in 2020, so it's been a while. It was during, I mean, during the time when they were announcing lots of anthologies, it seemed like I was seeing announcements like every month for a new anthology. And, but I wasn't seeing anything that was more like diverse at the time. Obviously, there have been several more anthologies announced and published since then. But I sent a tweet where I was like, "Where are the South Asian anthologies?" And it got a ton of traction, and people really responded to it. And I had an author DM me and say, "Hey, if you ever decide to put this together, like I would totally be interested in it." And I was not expecting that at all. And so I got my mind kind of going, my brain going. And the weddings are such a huge and very intricate part of South Asian culture. And something that I think is very relatable in all cultures. And my brother was that previous year, my brother had just gotten married and he had this huge Desi wedding. So it was like on my mind already. I thought, oh, that would be a fun anthology. Like that would be a clever idea. And from there, I just started DMing people that I thought might be a good fit. And I had several authors that responded and said they were interested. And obviously, I had some no's. It was absolutely terrifying.
I
Uh,
bet.
Contacting authors, asking them. I was so scared. And I remember telling my agent that I wanted to do this. And she was like, "Are you sure? Because anthologies are notorious for being difficult. Like it's not an easy thing to put together, and nobody is on the same page about how to put together a proposal and how to sell them. Like it's kind of
Ooh.
chaotic at the time, at least." And I was like, "No, no, 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 I got this. I can do this."
And this was your first time doing an anthology, right?
Yes, and I had no idea. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And yeah, after I got several yeses, my agent and I put together a proposal. And I actually had another author, Amparo Ortiz. She is an author with Page Street. Her first debut was the Blaze Wrath games. It's a dragon book. She had just finished selling an anthology, and so she messaged me. It's like, "Hey, I noticed that you might be interested in putting together an anthology. I just put together a proposal. If you ever need help, like, just
Aw.
let me know. I can send you our proposal so you can get an idea of what to do." And that's like such one of the nicest things. That's what I love about being an author is most people, like 99% of the people in the industry, are just very kind and very giving and very very helpful. Um, and so I really appreciated her like messaging me, and I was like, "Yes, please send me your proposal. I don't know what to do." And so she emailed it to me, and we used that sort of as a blueprint to put together our proposal. And my agent actually played a huge part. She's no longer my agent; she retired.
Aw.
Veronica Park, she's amazing. But she made it all pretty for me and everything. And she did a lot of research with tons of other agents who had sold anthologies to kind of get an idea of what to expect. And yeah, she was fantastic. And we put together this proposal and we went out on submission, like 2021 sometime. I can't remember the exact dates, but we sold it in like October. We got contacted by my editor, Lauren Knowles with Page Street. And she was like, yeah, I love it. I want this. And so that was really exciting.
That's the best
The
news to
scary
get.
part thing was right after we got the offer, I there were a few authors who were no longer able to contribute because of scheduling. And that was like really, really nerve-wracking. And then my agent announced she was retiring at the exact same time that this was happening. And
No.
I completely panicked and I was like, maybe I should just not do this. Like I should just cancel the whole thing and just never write again because this is too much.
Well, I'm glad that's clearly not what happened.
Yeah, I just picked myself up and I was like, okay, well, I got to replace these other authors. Like, let me see. I ended up messaging my editor, Lauren, and telling her to tell her what was going on because I was panicking. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. And also, like, I love this anthology. If you can replace those authors, like, that would be great. Like, I still want it. And so that kind of settled a lot of my fears. And I was able to wrangle up a few more authors and sign them up for the anthology, and they were very excited. And so yeah, and then we the editing process, I don't know if you want me to go into that.
Yeah, because I'm curious, especially how that works with, because you guys sold this to an editor or a publishing house. Like, how did that work
Yes.
with?
Yeah, so my editor, Lauren, is an editor with Page Street, and she bought it. And because I didn't have a co-editor, she kind of did some editing as well, but it was mostly just, up to me. What we ended up doing was editing in batches because we had authors that had signed up like at the beginning and then some that signed up later on. We wanted to give the new authors more time to get their stories put together. Um, and so we ended up, like, I think it was like the first three authors who had already signed up, including myself, we edited their stories first. So I read them and I wrote down my notes, and then she had her notes, and we would do some Zoom calls to go over our notes to see, what we were thinking, and then I would write an edit letter and send it to the authors to let them know what we were thinking, and obviously it was up to them to decide whether or not to make those changes. But yeah, we ended up doing, I think it was 3 different rounds of edits with uh, split up with the other authors.
Okay. And how, I guess, like, with so many different authors and so many different voices, like, how did you kind of manage trying to make everything feel like it all belonged in one in one collection?
Oh, right. So there is like a common thread. There is a guest that attends all of the weddings, which was really fun to come up with. And she has a perspective as well in the anthology at the beginning. And this is also a cross genre anthology, so not all the stories were contemporary. One of them is paranormal, and there's some speculative in there as well. And I think just the concept of the weddings, the actual traditions, the rituals, all of that was strong enough for them to feel connected.
That makes sense. I mean, the fact that they're all Daisy and weddings. I mean, I feel like that's already such a strong connection between all of them, but especially with a recurring character. Is that the nosy aunt?
She kind of plays a nosy auntie, but not really. She sometimes plays a guardian angel.
Oh, that's so exciting. Is there like a particular story in the collection that most like resonated with you personally?
Oh man, I loved all of them so much, and especially because they were so different. I love Saeed's story, Saeed Masood, his story, the Shara. It's about a boy who has to decide whether or not to attend his brother's wedding. But his parents are not attending because his brother's marrying a white woman, and they're very strict Muslim. And it was just very heartfelt and beautiful. And both Lauren and I both just got emotional and cried while we were reading it. And that it was very tender, and I just really loved it. And but all of them just are so well done. And Amna's story cracked me up. I just really the main character is so dramatic and she's hilarious. Tashi's story is more speculative, and I loved the concept. It's this idea of meeting your fated love, future husband or wife, and it's a very cool concept. Noreen, I really related to her main character. Um, she's very strong-willed and can be a little judgy at times, and I felt like could relate to that as when I was a teenager.
Oh yeah.
Piles, I loved. It's a second chance romance, and it was just she does a really amazing job of making you hungry while you're also reading it because the descriptions are so good. Sarah's was very tender and very relatable in the current state because what's going on in the world. The main character, she's very young and she's getting married, um, and that's something that's still really common in certain cultures. And so I really enjoyed reading her story, and the ending and was well done as well. And Anahita, hers as super unique because it's about vampires. And
Ooh.
I sort of don't expect it to like you're just like, how is this gonna work? But it was so well done, and it was yeah, I really enjoyed it, and she's a very strong writer. So yeah,
That sounds
there's
so
it's just
cool. I just
yeah,
love that.
they were all really good.
I just love that, like, I think this is something I just love about anthologies, but especially like this one. It just has such a wide range of like genre. So even though it is like all interconnected, like in a way with like themes, I love that like we have vampires in this one. This one's paranormal. This
Yeah.
one has like magical elements. Like I love
Mhm.
that, and I love that it all works. Oh, we have a question from someone in chat. Uh, so, if you ever had the chance to, would you do another anthology? And if so, is there any particular theme you want to explore? Additionally, is there anything you'd do differently in the future regarding it?
Oh wow. Okay. Actually, funny enough, I guess I can't really talk about this yet, but I might be working on something with this time with
Ooh!
someone else, not by myself. Um, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about the themes. Like it's kind of like secretive at the moment.
I guess if you were not working on the secret thing you're working on, uh,
I would still love to do another South Asian anthology, but this one focusing on like a different celebration of some kind. I just love parties, and South Asians love parties. We love dancing, we love singing, we love music, we love food. So I feel like that's something that's very common between all of us. I would also love to do like an anthology about immigrants, like kids who, first generation immigrants growing up in this country. That's something, that I came to the US when I was 6 years old. And, there's a lot of, what's the word? Like, not necessarily trauma, but a little bit of trauma and, a little scary at times, and just cultural differences and things like that. That would be a fun thing, concept to work on as well.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I would love to read stories about that and see like the different stories about people acclimating to new cultures while still trying to retain their own culture and where they come from. I think that'd be like a super interesting collection.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if you take in like younger authors versus older authors, like I'm millennial, and assimilation was a huge part of immigration at the time for immigrants. Like you needed to assimilate versus people who are coming over now. I feel like it's not as like shoved down their throats, which is good. I think that's amazing. But I definitely felt like I had to assimilate when I came to the US. And that was tough for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that, I think that would be a great anthology to work on. In terms of like what I would do differently, I would definitely do it with another author. I would love to have someone else to like talk to, and someone
Oh.
else, someone else to like reach out to authors besides me because it's scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, I would, I mean, for the most part, I feel like this one was pretty smooth, so I don't think there's a ton I would change.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear. Because just
Yeah,
the I,
it wouldn't be as overwhelming. That's
I mean,
that
I
would
feel
be
like
because
your
I've
first.
never done it, so it wouldn't be as like scary.
Yeah, I feel like the first time you do any huge project like this, especially involving a lot of other people and authors, I feel like even just the idea of it is so daunting. Uh,
Yes, for sure. It can be overwhelming to a lot of times, but it ended up working out.
so briefly, the secret project. Do you know when you might be able to announce any news on that?
So yeah, I'm not sure because
Okay.
we're not in submission yet, but
Oh,
we're
okay.
still putting things together. We're still getting things to put together, but
Gotcha,
it's something
gotcha.
that I definitely relate to, especially more recently, um, with like certain changes in my life, and so yeah, that's about all I can really say.
That's very fair. I wasn't sure how far along in the process you were, but we will all keep an eye out for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Fingers crossed we can go on submission before the end of the summer is the goal.
Oh, that would be so exciting. Oh, we do have a follow up question. If there's nothing you would change, what's one tip you would give to someone who's curious about doing an anthology?
Let me see. Ooh, that's interesting because there's every anthology is going to be different. Selling, yeah, like that's one of the things I've learned is when selling and putting together one anthology is going to be completely different from selling and putting together another anthology. And so you do what works for you, and don't be nervous about reaching out to people because honestly, the worst that they can do is say no, and that's better than any than the alternative, which is not doing anything at all. I feel like, um,
Hmm.
and just put yourself out there. Be confident in your ability, and that'll come across as well when you're reaching out to people.
Aw, that's such good advice. Okay, I have a question. So,
Okay.
this was something I struggled with when I was in undergrad and I had to put portfolios together. How did you decide the order of the stories? Was there anything you were kind of trying to do with the placement, or were you just kind of like, oh yeah, this feels right? How did you kind of decide?
I worked with Lauren and coming up with the order. And we were thankfully like pretty much on the exact same page. She really wanted my story to be the first one, to open up, and then we from there we kind of don't well we went with like the vibe, I guess, of the story. Um, so like after mine is Amna's, which is more comedic, and then after hers is Saeed's, which is a little bit more somber, and then we've got Tashi's, which is a little bit more like fluid, it feels like, and then Noreen's, which is more contemporary based, and Piles, which is um, like the characters are slightly older in that one, and so we kind of wanted to focus on put it there for the way that it kind of blended with the previous one. And Sarah's, it was I think it was just because it felt like a good follow up to the previous story, um, like just in terms of themes. And then Anahita's was so like I guess different. I guess it's the most different just because of the paranormal aspect, but we decided to put it at the end. Um, but I'm happy with the way that we put it together. It was more, yeah, it was definitely the vibes and like just how we were feeling about it.
I feel like that's the best way to go. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes there is no like easily defined logic. It's the vibes.
yeah, yeah.
uh, if you're up for it, I would also like to ask you about your debut novel, If You Only Knew. Would you like to
Ooh,
talk about that
yeah.
for a little bit?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. It's been a while, so.
Well, do you wanna? Would you like to describe what it's about?
Yeah, so If You Only Knew is a contemporary romance as dual point of view. It is the what is the word? Okay, I can't, I'm trying to remember my pitch. I haven't pitched the story in so long.
I know that feeling. And then someone asks
It
you on the
opens,
spot, and you're like, "What?"
it's the main character, it opens with the main character, Corey, vandalizing the home of, he's recently released from jail, and he vandalizes the home of the lawyer who prosecuted him. And his daughter, the daughter of the prosecutor, catches him in the act. And and he is guilt ridden. And in order to make up for what he did, he has to like fix the vandalization. And they end up falling for each other along the way. And Tessa, she is also she also races motorcycles. So that's, and Corey is also
Ooh.
a street art. So there's some street art, there's some bike riding, and there's also puppies. And so
This sounds like such a wonderful combination of things. Are street art and like bike racing things that like you are passionate about, or are they things you had to kind of heavily research in order to put them in the story?
I definitely have to research. Tessa was originally she was a street racer and the original version. And then when we were doing edits, we decided to change it to bike riding. So I had to really learn about how to like ride a motorcycle. Like I don't know, I've never ridden a motorcycle. And so I watched YouTube tutorials and like to learn all the different parts of a motorcycle. And I had to do some research for the street artistry. But it was honestly not that difficult just because it's, I've always loved any form of art. And so it's always it felt a little bit more fluid when I was describing Corey when he was, in the middle of creating something. Um, but yeah, I definitely had to do research for both of them.
That makes sense. Both of those sound like things that would be very heavily involved.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I'm just thinking of like a motorcycle. I wouldn't even know where to start. How do I even like make it
Yeah,
go?
that's why YouTube is very helpful if you want to learn about things. Like there's so many people that want to teach you. It's great.
I love that. You mentioned that
I'm sure
she
TikTok's the same way.
Oh, yeah. I You get lost on TikTok though. The rabbit hole is just
That's
it's
true.
too easy to get lost down. So you mentioned that it was changed to street racing. Why if you
Oh,
were up for talking about it, like why that change?
yeah. So she was well, they were it's still racing. She was versus a car versus a motorcycle. The reason we changed it from a car was because there was another book with the that imprint that had released where the main character raced cars. So they felt like it was too similar, so they wanted to change it
Uh,
just a little bit. So we changed it to motorcycle instead.
oh, interesting. I always love hearing like those stories of like behind why certain edits were made. I always think it's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's always yeah, you never know. Like you don't know until you've actually, sold a project and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So, what was kind of the main point of inspiration for this story? I know the worst question ever to get asked.
Well, weirdly, it was a very Stephanie Myers moment. I had a dream and with no sparkly vampires in mind, but there was this in my dream. There was this older gentleman that was like had gripped this kid by the collar of his shirt, and he was like in his face, and there was a girl trying to get in between them, trying to stop them from fighting. And I was like, "Ooh, what is this about? What's happening here?" I woke up and I immediately started writing, and that scene is actually in the book. So yeah,
Ooh.
that's what inspired it.
Oh, that sounds so nice. I wish I remembered my dreams so that I could put them in my books, but instead there's just black nothingness.
I like it, but also sometimes it's
Oh, sorry. I think you cut out for a second
like exhausted because your brain wouldn't shut off.
there. That's fair. That's very fair. So, I guess, is it okay if I ask about kind of your general writing journey over the years? Like, how did you get your start in writing?
I
And,
lost you for a second.
oh, yeah, I Oh, sorry. I was caught off guard. It happens all the time. But yeah, I was curious if you could tell us about. Oh, are you there? Hello,
Hello.
hello. Are you there?
Oh, okay. I think are we caught up?
I think we are. I think we are.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't catch your question.
Oh, not at all. So I was curious if you could tell us about your writing journey in general. Like, how did you kind of get your start, and how have you progressed from your starting point to now?
Yeah. Um, so I started writing back in my early 20s. Um, I've always been a writer at heart. I love like writing poetry and I loved creating stories in my head. And I attempted to write a novel when I was in college and it went very badly. It was so like I didn't even know like where to start. It was like I was 19 years old, right? I didn't
Oh,
know what I was doing, and I just quit. I was like I just like deleted the document and was like, no, this is so bad. I can't do this.
oh.
And and then fast forward, I've had a couple kids, and I was trying to figure out like trying to find myself, and I read Twilight. I can do this. I'm sure I can do this.
I feel like
And
that's generally the reaction after reading Twilight. Yeah, I could do this.
yeah, so I just like did started doing research online. Honestly, I started Googling like how to write a novel, and one of the main things was if you wanted to learn how to write a novel, you have to actually write. Like that's just how you do it. And so I would like secretly type away in the computer room when my husband was at work and he didn't know that's what I was working on. And eventually, I wrote a full length novel. It was a paranormal romance, and it was at the very end of like the paranormal romance surge that we had back in the early 2000s.
I
So that
remember.
went, yeah, there it went nowhere. And then
Oh.
I got the idea for another novel, but it was a contemporary romance, and so I worked on that, and that ended up actually getting some interest from agents. It didn't sell, but it gave me hope. I was like, oh, people actually want like my writing. They were very complimentary, but they didn't know how to like market or anything.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just kept going from there until it was in like 2017 and the fall of 2017 where I uploaded it onto the Spoon website, which, if people don't know, are familiar with what Spoon reads, it's no longer um, an imprint, but at the time, it was crowdsourcing pretty much. Um, and you just uploaded your manuscript onto their website and people would read them and then they would rate them and leave comments. And that was sort of how you got interest from the editors. And mine happened to catch the attention of my editor. And the following, like it was like February of 2018, I got the email from them that they were interested in buying my manuscript. So yeah, it took a while for sure to get there.
As it usually does, honestly. I feel like it's very
Yeah,
normal.
and it doesn't get any easier. Like I'm 38. I started writing when I was like 21. Um, so it's been, it's still tricky at times.
Oh yeah, especially because you never know what to predict, like with the market or what will sell. And like you mentioned earlier, like there was the paranormal craze, but by the time you had your book, it was like at the end of that, and I can
Yeah.
imagine that was a hard sell when it was kind of fading out. So just very, very tricky to get the timing down. I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah.
luck involved in publishing. Skill also,
Oh,
of
a
course,
hundred
but
percent, 100%. Yeah, there is luck for sure involved.
yeah. So, are there any current projects you're working on that you can talk about now, or is everything under wraps?
Yeah, let me see. I'm not really working on any young adult projects at the moment. I have one on submission, I should say. So that's why I'm not working on anything because I'm waiting to hear back. But it is titled Hey Princess, and it's a South Asian Princess Diaries. And yeah, it's about
That
a
sounds so
16-year-old who discovers she is royalty when she travels to this fictional island off the coast of India and has to decide whether or not she wants to be the next queen,
fun.
pretty much. And
You
so that was really fun to write. I loved writing it, and lots of hijinks. And there's a what's the word? A monkey that's not necessarily a good monkey. Kind of gets into a lot of trouble. Causes some trouble for the main character.
Oh, causes some mayhem, huh?
Yes, for sure. So there's that one, and then I'm currently revising my adult contemporary romance, and that is, let me see, how do I pitch it? It is like Sweet Home Alabama meets Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Oh, that's
Um,
classic.
yeah, so there's some amnesia involved, some, second chance romance, some, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it was a lot of fun to write. It's still a lot of fun to work on. I'm almost done with revisions, and then hopefully I can get it to my agent before the end of the summer. We'll see.
Oh, all of your projects just sound so much fun. I mean, if you want to like DM me when you get those deals, and if you need any, advanced readers, I mean,
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
just
yes, for sure. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm just
I'm
saying I'd be
definitely looking for
happy to
people.
volunteer.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking for repairs once I'm done with these revisions before I send it to my agent because I want to make sure like it's not a complete disaster.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Especially with the earlier drafts, you're always like, does this make any sense? Or did I just write myself
And
in
I'm like,
circles?
yeah. And I'm like, am I the only one that finds this hilarious? Like what what's going on?
Humor is the hardest thing to write because there'll be things that like crack me up and someone else reads it and they're like, what does this even mean?
Yeah, I know, right? The worst. They're like, why aren't you laughing? It's hilarious. It's like when I send my husband TikToks and he doesn't laugh at some of them. I'm like, how dare you?
I am taking this as a personal insult.
Exactly.
We do have another question in chat. Are there any topics or genres that you want to explore but haven't gotten a chance to yet?
Oh man, yeah, I definitely would love. I've worked on other genres. I have a post-apocalyptic paranormal romance that I have written. I've written
Ooh.
partially. It's not completely done. Then I have a contemporary, what's the word? Contemporary fantasy, adult contemporary fantasy that um I would love to finish. Like one of my goals this year was to finish the drafting it this year, but I don't know if that's going to happen because of the revisions that are taking forever with my other adult project. Um, the only genre that I don't think I will ever write is sci-fi. I feel like that involves so much research and like my brain just can't like understand
That that's
certain
very
things about,
fair.
like future and space and like it's just yeah, there's a lot of things that I just don't understand. And so otherwise, I'm open to writing anything really. And I started out with paranormal and I would love to get back to that too.
I mean, I think paranormal is like definitely in again. So if you want to write
Yeah, and
it, I mean, I feel like
yes,
now's a good time for it.
yes. And my agent has like I sent her, like, hey, here's some of these ideas that I have, and she seems to approve of most of them, so that's good.
A good match, a good match.
Yes.
So, like, I'm very curious. You have mentioned so many projects that you're working on between the secret anthology you're trying to put together, the revisions. Um, like, how do you kind of balance working all these different projects at the same time?
I try to make sure I don't work on something that two projects that have the same vibe, like I don't want to work on a contemporary young adult at the same time I'm working on a contemporary adult. Um, and I I also I used to work on multiple projects at the same time a lot back in the day, but now I try to really stay focused on one thing and 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 try to set deadlines, but I'm also like not super, what's the word, like strict with myself, I guess. because writing is very exhausting, mentally taxing. It takes a lot of your time. And so I try to choose projects that I feel really connected to, like that feel good. And I will say that I'm really into tarot, and I
Oh,
will like ask the deck, like, okay, which one has got like the best chance of like going somewhere in the future? Like what that's and so that kind of helps me too.
I love that. I love that. Especially because sometimes, especially when it comes to tarot, like whatever your reading is, even if it's not necessarily accurate, I feel like how you react to it tells you
Yeah,
just as much as the reading itself. So it's like such a good gauge
exactly.
of like, what do I actually want to do? What should I do? Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's so true.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess we'll start wrapping up. So if anyone has any last minute questions in chat that you would like to ask, be sure to get them in. But before we leave, what is the one piece of advice you would give to any aspiring writers or authors?
Oh, the same that that helped me when I was starting out is just write. You're not going to get better as a writer if you're not writing. And I think we're so hard on ourselves and we don't realize how much talent we have until we are actually, put ourselves out there and start doing the work. And don't be afraid of being bad at writing.
Mm.
I don't know any author that started out as just like this incredible, purple prosy, like has it 100% down, knows structure, knows plot, knows characterization, knows it all. That's just not, that doesn't happen. So just like allow yourself to be bad at it and make mistakes and um, go from there. Like don't be afraid to be bad.
Ah,
And
that
along with that, though, it also be read as much as you can in your genre because you want to familiarize yourself with what's getting attention at the moment, but also what works and what doesn't work. And it helps you figure out your voice too. Like what kind of writer do I want to be? Like pick up a book and you realize, oh, I don't like this. Okay, well, I don't want to write like that.
it's
That helps
yeah.
too.
It's so true. I feel like the more you read, the more you understand how to write as well.
Yeah, it teaches you so much about all of those things I talked about: plot, characterization, structure, um, yeah, all that.
Very fair. And I love what you said about don't be afraid to be bad because whenever you start learning or practicing any new skill, like you're not great at it right away. Like you gotta build up. It's like if you decide to start running, you have to start slow, maybe start bad, but as you keep doing it, you consistently improve.
Yeah, very, very, yeah, exactly.
Ah, well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. This was so much fun. I'm so
Yeah,
excited
thank
we
you.
were able
Thank you
to.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And like I said earlier, if you guys want to know more about Prerna or my Big Fat Daisy Wedding, or where to buy it, you can check the exclamation mark commands in the title to find out more. All right. Well, thank you so much, Prerna. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Yay, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
That was so fun. No, are they not working? Wait, why would the links not be working? They're in Nightbot. No. 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 Hold on. Let me. Uh. Uh. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Hold on. Let me get my laptop real quick that has the info bookmarked. I'll be right back. Everything is always perfectly functional around here. Listen, Arg, listen. And I was so proud of myself too for remembering to actually include them in the title this time. I should have known. I should have known. It's says they're in here. Everyone, commands. Okay, so it's not appearing for me either, so it's not the user level. Why is this happening? Oh yeah! So for the rest of stream's not over. We're gonna do Friday with Friends. So we have a poll up for what everyone wants to play. So we can either do Helldivers, Tabletop Simulator, which is board games, or Phasmophobia. And we will shift on over into that next. And anyone in chat is welcome to play. I'm just trying to figure out these commands and why they're not working real quick. I don't understand. Okay. Author. User level everyone. Maybe try being more commanding and they'll work. Yeah, that's definitely how it works. I wonder if this is because I set them up on my Mac, but I'm on my PC setup? Shadow, every stream I stream is a scuff stream. What are you talking about? That's just how it be. Yeah, exactly. See, Arg knows. I think you mean average stream. See? Thank you guys for being here for our author interview. That was so fun. I don't know why, but I always get so nervous. Like, I know the authors I've invited on, but I still get really nervous about it. I don't know why. I just do. So far, it does look like Phasmophobia is winning 3-1, which, not gonna lie, I kind of want to play Phasmo, so I'd be up for that. I am not sure how to get these to work. Okay, let me try going to Nightbot on my PC. Maybe that will help. I should probably stop showing my browser. Okay. Y'all can just have Double Crow. Why not? Oh my gosh, I still have the This is my AFK journey screen. It still has all that stuff. I should probably just delete this scene. Hold on, just looking up Nightbot real quick. My eyebrows blew off my head when she said she had 5 kids. She sounds like she's 20. Yeah, I didn't realize she had that many kids. Like, that's super impressive considering how much she's up to. That's just so cool. They're showing up in here too. Why is this not working? Why? Let me try. Okay, copy, delete. Author. Okay, can someone try doing exclamation author again? Only kids I'll manage are my nieces and nephews. All the fun of spoiling them, none of the actual work of raising them. Honestly, same. That's how I am with my nephew and niece. Love them, do not want kids of my own. Really? It's still not working? I literally deleted the command and added it back in. Maybe the commands will not be working on this day. Or you could play Power Wash too. But it's Friday with Friends, AC. We gotta get everyone in that we can. It does look like Phasmo's gonna win. The only child I want is my beautiful dog son. Same, but with my cats. My beautiful, precious kitty cats. I think I'm gonna have to give up on the commands, unfortunately. Man, I was so excited. I got those all up and ready and working, and then What do you know? Didn't work. Oh, thank you for the hydrate reminder and posture check. Oh, my back cracked. Ooh. I'm gonna vote no on that, Caesar. Croplicate. I am going to take a very quick bathroom break before we get started, but Phasmo did win, so we'll be playing that. Just go ahead and get that up so it won't